Howdy there, fellow humans. Good to see you. I too am human. And today I wanted to share with you that the demo for Clasherball is out now on the PlayStation Vita. You can go ahead and grab that from the itch.io, totally free. I'll be putting the link in the description and the comment sections. So go ahead and enjoy that. This is the same demo that you'll find for the PC that's available, and I'm working on putting that on the web browser so anyone can play it, even if you are using a Mac or a Linux. It should work just fine in the web browser. So, hope you're looking forward to playing that totally free. It's the demo. When the full version launches on either Steam or Switch, whichever version launches first, then I will also launch the full version on the PS Vita. And again, the full version on the Vita will be totally free. You don't need to pay for that. And the reason being is that I just want to share something cool with my fellow PS Vita fans. You all know what a cool console this is. This is a rad console, cool platform. Again, unfortunately, I will not be able to create games for the 3DS because I'm a registered 3DS developer and I'm using, in the past I've used official Nintendo tools, and because the eShops have ended, I can no longer use those tools. So unfortunately I won't be able to create 3DS homebrew, but I can make homebrew for other titles. So I want to share with you a project that I've been working on. Very briefly before I do that, I am going to let you know that I'm working on a crossover game for Clasherball and Breath of Thunder, and that will be 15 exclusive brand new Clasherball levels. They'll be playable on your computer, and they will be themed after Breath of Thunder. They'll have Breath of Thunder characters, sound effects, music. It's just so people can enjoy the vibe of Breath of Thunder in the Clasherball gameplay style while I work on the main game. I am preparing the upcoming Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign for Breath of Thunder, and hopefully we can crowdfund enough to where I can spend some time just working on Breath of Thunder, as RPGs are my absolute favorite genre, and I would really like to get Breath of Thunder out to all of you. So, I've been working on a project behind the scenes. I haven't really mentioned this to anyone, that I'm pretty excited about. And so the reason behind this project is because I want to create games for basically every single platform. Any game development platform that I can get a software development kit for, I want to make games for. But making games is extremely time consuming, which means that I need to design a game that will allow me to very quickly make games for those platforms while learning how to create games for them and being able to share assets like graphics and sound with those. So, the game that I'm working on, I'm holding off on revealing the name, but it is a cross between Wild West and Mecha. So, it is set sometime in the distant future, and the world has sort of returned to how things were in the Wild West, but instead of gunslinging, people use mechs called desperados. And throughout the gameplay, you travel through the Wild West between small town to small town, searching out revenge. So I would like this to be an IP, a franchise of games, because I have a number of different concepts and I've written out complete concepts for a couple games in that series. And the first game in the series, where you pilot a desperado, which is a mech in the Wild West, is a concept that I would be able to create on many different platforms. And the reason why I can create that is because basically the longest sort of the thing that you spend the most time on when it comes to making a JRPG is creating maps and programming the collision data. You can't walk, through walls, can't walk through buildings, you interact with NPCs. That's extremely time consuming and it's prohibitive, especially if you are making a game that will be free on homebrew devices. And while you are learning to create games for different platforms, that can slow you down. So I've been spending the past couple of months working on a concept for a different type of RPG that I refer to as an on-rails RPG. Now, if you think of a first-person shooter, you control the movement of your character and you shoot enemies. So the arcade equivalent of a first-person shooter would be an on-rails shooter, where the game controls the movement for you for the most part. And so I've been working on a concept that I refer to as an on-rails RPG, where it is an RPG experience. You're still handling your inventory, your equipment, your character growth, and key decisions on where to go, but the movement is more automated. It's on rails, so you pick where you want to go, and the game will move there for you, and that saves me an immense amount of time because it means that I don't have to create maps and program the collision data. I don't have to create the NPCs in a way where you interact with them in a certain way. And so by creating this game concept, it will allow me to create games for basically any platform extremely quickly. So I want to share with you some of the platforms that I will be targeting with this concept, this on-rails Wild West Mecha RPG. So obviously I'm going to be targeting, I'm opening up my portfolio here, you see? Goodies. So I'm going to be targeting the PSP, which is the easiest platform for me to develop homebrew for. We'll also be looking at the Game Boy Advance, and I will be able to produce physical cartridges because people have asked for that, and I've used our Patreon funds to set up hardware so I can flash cartridges and I can get those out to you. So thanks to everyone for asking that. We'll be doing a Game Boy Color version. Again, I can create real physical cartridges for you guys. Of course, we're going to target the Nintendo DS, the Atari Lynx. I'll be doing a version exclusively for the Playdate as well that will use the crank. Pretty excited about that. And believe it or not, I'm going to target old Nokia phones that run Java games. So if you've got one of old phones sitting around, go ahead and dig one of those out, and I'll be doing a version for that. And I'll also do a version that you'll be able to play on Miu Mini devices and similar retro handheld devices via the Easy RPG runner. So that can run RPG Maker games, and I'll be making a version exclusively for that. So that's just some of the platforms that I want to target as well. And again, through the Patreon, right now we are targeting the Game Gear. So if we reach enough funding with our Patreon, I'll be able to pick up some hardware, and I'll be able to develop on the Game Gear and create physical Game Gear cartridges for you guys. I know it's not as common as the Game Boy Color, but that doesn't really matter. You know, I'm going to do what I think is really cool. I'm going to do what excites me, and the idea of making games on the Game Gear is pretty rad. I've already set up a software development kit, and I've run a test ROM that I've created, and it works, but I've only run it on emulator. I don't have a Game Gear. And so in the future, I'll be specifying with Patreon where your funds are going, where your contributions are going towards, and I want to put them towards something that I can give back to you guys. So with this new on-rails Wild West Mecha RPG, the battle system will work like this. You don't actually control your mech directly. It's not like a fighting game, and it's not like a standard RPG where you just pick actions out of a menu. What happens is you have to explore the Wild West, you have to explore ruins, and you find procedure discs, and they need to be blank discs, basically a blank CDR. So you need to take those blank CDRs back into an engineer in a town, and you work with the engineer, you pay the engineer to program sequences in for you. And a sequence is a number of different actions, and you can have up to 6 procedure discs. During battle, you pick your procedure discs, and you can make your mech perform different poses, which will boost their stats in certain ways. You can have them use certain weapons, and all of these procedures consume RAM. So the stronger and more useful the action is, the more RAM it consumes, and you have to be really careful because you can customize your different body parts. Some body parts for your mech are going to be stronger, but they end up consuming more RAM, or they're less RAM efficient, they're less heat efficient. So you as the player, a lot of your gameplay revolves around balancing out your mech between heat management and RAM usage. And of course, if you get a RAM crash, if you consume too much RAM, then you crash out, and then your mech becomes vulnerable to attack. So it's going to be a very strategic and fun battle system in terms of reacting to what your opponent is going to do, and you need to be careful about managing your mech and your procedures as well. You can discard your procedure discs if you don't like them. Just go out into the wilderness, find more procedure discs in the ruins, and then program new procedures if you want to try different strategies. You can also learn new actions, and then by playing the game you discover new actions, and you can include those new actions on the procedure discs. So that's the excitement about exploring the Wild West, is there's ruins everywhere, and you find actions and procedures, and you can mix them all together. So that's the form of a magic system. I know RPGs, you have to have a good magic system, but because there's no magic in this world, this is the Wild West, it's technology-based. This is the form of magic, where you use actions that you find on discs, and then you can, they're basically programs. You're finding, programs on like a a disc, and you're basically making a mixtape. You're making a mixtape of actions that you run in your Desperado to use during battle.
And I just want to take a moment to give special thanks to our Patreon supporters. You guys help me keep the lights on in the studio, and it's thanks to you that I'm able to spend time making homebrew games that are free for everyone. You help me obtain the hardware so I can actually develop the games on hardware, and you've helped me acquire the hardware to actually make physical cartridges for some of these platforms. So I'm going to try and do this in one breath. Here we go. Special thanks to Olivian, Jose Torres, Darius Ledisinski, Jackson Lake, Chris Lawrence, Boris Wright, Bacon Pizza, Pineapple, Kenneth Mashi, Gino Zay, Neo Merch, Cameron, Bob Barnum, iHockey011, Brennan Goldman, Mitchell Hall, Gloppy Light, Nick Cameron, Rocky, Unseen Vision, What Is This, Stephen, William Kage, Carmen Red. And if you would like to join the Patreon as a supporter, you'll get early access to public testing ROMs for some of the games, and also exclusive access to private builds while I have games early in development, especially the homebrew games. Those will be exclusive to Patreon supporters, so you get to play games early in development and see how they progress, and you get to try those for yourself and see what's going on behind the scenes.
Alright, so those are the platforms that I'll be developing this Wild West Mecha RPG for. So thanks very much for catching up with me, everyone. It's great to talk to you and let you know how my projects are going. I always enjoy hearing from all of you. Thank you all for your support. And hopefully, with my hard work, I'll be able to launch a bunch of these smaller games. And if we combine that with crowdfunding through Indiegogo, we'll be able to fund and work on Breath of Thunder full-time until I can get that game launched and out to all of you. So thanks very much for all of your support. My catchphrase, of course, it's 2 a.m. Let's all go to Denny's and get food poisoning.